So I got this kit and I had to measure all of my sites, my arms, my legs, my waist, all of that stuff. I had to measure everything, write it down. And then I had it looked like tensor bandages and this like green herbal sludge. And I take these bandages and like dunk them in this sludge, wrap them around my body. And then it came with a raincoat. And I had to put on this raincoat and I had to sit and it's supposed to sweat. I'm supposed to sweat in the raincoat with all of these herbs and stuff like that. And it's supposed to like detoxify me. And then when I take my measurements after, I'm supposed to be thinner. Hello YouTube and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia and today we are rebooting the channel. Yes, I've been gone for a while. Personal life existed and it caused me to take a bit of a break from YouTube. But the whole time I was gone, YouTube was never far from my thoughts. And during this time away, I was thinking, what type of channel do I want the Body Honesty Project to be? Because I still very deeply care about health and fitness and above all else, being honest with ourselves when it comes to our bodies, especially when it comes to weight loss. But I don't know if fat acceptance is where I want to spend most of my time. I am very, very grateful that the fat acceptance movement, probably a little bit of thanks to Ozempic, has started to slow down. And many, many, many more souls are being saved from that movement. So I don't think I really want to spend as much time covering fat acceptance. I mean, I'm sure if there's a really good fat acceptance story out there, I'm going to want to cover it. But I think I'd like to change directions a little bit and focus more on inspiring weight loss content. So let's consider this video as a reintroduction of me and the Body Honesty Project to you. And I thought, what better way to get started than to give you a full history of me and my weight journey. Well, as this is a reintroduction, who the heck am I? Well, my name is Lydia. I am 46 years old. I am the mother of 2 teenage children. I stand 5 feet 4 inches tall, and as of this morning, I weighed 140 pounds. And to give you a better idea of who I am and why I'm doing this, I thought I'd give you a little history into my weight journey. Now, this was supposed to be one simple video, but after recording and doing a rough edit, the footage was already at 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I thought better to chunk this up into 2 videos instead. So this video will be the first part, including what my weight story was through childhood, adolescence, and my 20s. I hope you enjoy it. The very first time that I was made aware of my weight was when I was 5 years old. And I still vividly remember this day. I was 5 and my mom and her sister were weighing themselves. And I think that they were both trying to lose weight or something, because I think they were writing down the numbers and tracking stuff with measurements and all that. Anyways, they were in the bathroom weighing themselves, and my mom threw me on the scale as well. Now, in her defense, I will say that she was not trying to shame me or anything at this time. That comes much, much later. But at this time, she was not trying to shame me. She just kind of threw me on the scale. And I remember noticing like, oh, I am 50 pounds. And I just thought that that was like an interesting fact. Kind of like I am 5 years old and I'm also 50 pounds. So I went outside to play with my friends, and I remember running up to my friend Amy, and I went, Amy, guess what? I'm 50 pounds. And I just thought that this was news worth sharing. And Amy went over to her mom and said, Mom, how much do I weigh? And her mom said, oh, it's been a while, but I think you're about 40, maybe 45. And I don't know why, but 5-year-old little me all of a sudden knew being 50 pounds is bad. I don't know exactly why. Like, I don't recall at the age of 5 my mom complaining necessarily about weight or weighing too much, but that must have been going on. I mean, it had to have been going on because I could see it happening much later in my life. But at the age of 5, I didn't remember hearing that weight was a bad thing. But I did put it together that me weighing more than my friend was bad. And I remember coming home and saying, Mom, Amy weighs less than me. And this is where my mom failed me. Um, she didn't tell me that we're all made differently or it's normal for some people to weigh something and other people to weigh something else. She kind of presented it as that, well, Amy is just slimmer than I am. And not that it was a bad thing that I was bigger than she was, but at the age of 5, just hearing her factually say, well, yes, Amy is thinner than you, made me feel terrible. Now, this incident by itself is not a reason for me to be upset with my parents or my mother in particular for teaching me about bad body image. I'm just telling you this story because this is the first time that my brain put weight and value together. Now, we're going to fast forward out about 3 years. I am 8 years old now. And once again, I have a best friend who is quite thin. Now, at this time, I believe I weighed 80 pounds and my best friend weighed about 65 to 70 pounds. And although my mother never insisted that I was as thin as she was, my mom offered me $50 if I could lose 5 pounds. If I could go from being 80 pounds to 75 pounds at the age of 8, my mom was going to give me $50. And how did I try to achieve this? Remember, age 8. Slim Fast. I was drinking Slim Fast for breakfast. Now, this didn't last long. I was 8 and trying to lose weight and limiting myself, that was going to actually go over well. But for a few days at least, I did try to drink Slim Fast in the morning. And I did give it a shot to try to lose 5 pounds. But I wasn't able to do it. I was 8 and being on a diet was stupid. But I know this only in hindsight. At 8 years old, I wanted that $50 and I really, really, really wanted to work for it. Now, I should also clarify, I've never been obese. I can show you all the photos of me as a child. And other than being like a chubby toddler, like a lot of kids are, I was never a fat kid. I was never, ever overweight. And again, I'm showing you these numbers of like an 8-year-old that weighs 80 pounds versus 75 pounds. Like this is not a big amount of weight. But I had it in my head forever that skinny was best. Now, through my childhood, I watched my mom put my sister on diets. My sister is significantly older than me. She's 6 years older than me, actually. So I got to see how she was treating a teen way before I was actually a teen. And I watched my mom put my sister on diets as well. And it was ridiculous. My sister was really, really tall. And my mom wanted her to be bone rail, and it just didn't make any sense to me. My sister stood 5'8", and my mom wanted her to be 120 pounds. Like, that's pretty darn thin. And to boot, both me and my sister were athletes. We were figure skaters. And I remember that when my sister was about 16 or so, she was skinny as heck. And she's trying to do all these jumps that require muscle. Meanwhile, my mom is trying to make her be bone rail thin. Anyways, this is not a video about my sister, and I don't think that she'll be too happy with me if I spend too much time discussing her. So let's get back onto the subject of me. When I was a teen, I was completely obsessed with dieting. And I think I probably had a weight loss diet at least once a year. And those weight loss diets were usually to try to gain anywhere between, try to lose anywhere between 5 to 10 pounds. Again, I was never fat. I was never overweight. I was always in that normal, healthy-ish category, but I wanted to be lower in that category. Now, the influence over this was my mother, a lot of it, but it also was my figure skating coach. Now, I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to work with some of the best figure skating coaches in the world. And the coach that tore my self-esteem down is a coach of gold medal Olympic athletes. I kid you not, she's that good. But she did not like her skaters to have any weight on them. Again, I stand 5'4", and right now I'm a grown-ass woman and I weigh 140 pounds. But as a teenager, I was like 115, and my coach still wanted me to lose weight because they thought the right body weight for a figure skater of my height was around 105 pounds. Now, at first, I thought that this might be some English as a second language problem, but in hindsight, I think that my coach was just mean. Because whenever she thought that I looked a little overweight or looked fat in my skating costume or something, she would come up behind me and start doing this, making fat faces at me all the time. It was so freaking rude. Like, I would be waiting to go on the ice and I'd get a little tap on the shoulder and I'd turn around and I'd see her going at me. This is a grown ass woman, making fat faces at her teenage students. I wasn't the only one. There were a couple others that she would do that to. But I just remember that always making me feel like shit all the time. I'm an athlete. I'm out there working really, really hard. I need energy. I need fuel for my muscles. And I have one coach telling me that I need to be thin. I need to be skinny. I'm not going to get any good marks unless I'm skinny. Well, when you're a high-level figure skater, you don't just have one coach, okay? I had a team of coaches. And that one coach wanted me to be skinny, but the others didn't. And this is a problem because I had another coach that wanted me to be strong, kept on making sure that I had my personal training sessions, making sure that I was lifting weights, making sure that I was building muscle, because guess what? You need muscle to jump up in the air, spin around 3 times, and land on one foot. You just do. So I have one coach pushing me to gain muscle and have another coach pushing me to get skinny. And I am trying to do both. I am trying to work out and not eat at the same time. That was such a disaster. And all that pressure did to me was mess with me mentally, making me think that like 105 pounds was the most ideal weight for someone who stands 5'4" and is an athlete, torturing myself on pretty much starvation diets. And every time I'd lose weight, my mother would applaud me. So this was my adolescence. I was on diets constantly. And when I say diets, I mean real diets, diets where you lose weight and diets where you maintain weight. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'll come back in a moment. One of the reasons why I started this channel in the first place, long time ago when it was called My 25-Pound Yo-Yo, was that I had very, very, very little sympathy or empathy for people that have been fat their entire lives that would get onto platforms like this and complain about how they've been dieting their whole lives. Because I call bullshit. No, you haven't. If you have been fat your entire life and you have never lost a significant amount of weight, you have not been on diets your whole life. You haven't. You have been thinking about diets. You had tried diets. You had dabbled in diets. But you were not on a diet your whole life. Because if you were actually on a diet your whole life, you would have lost weight at some point. That's how diets work. This was always a constant frustration for me because I was an athlete. I was going to school and going to skating after. And at school, I would either not be eating or be eating very little, and then having larger friends say, "Oh yeah, I've tried all these diets, they don't work, blah blah blah." And I'm like, you clearly haven't. You clearly have never experienced the actual pain of being on a diet. Otherwise, you would have lost weight. I'm not talking about people that have lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. Yeah, you have been on a diet your whole life. I believe you. I just don't believe the people that have been large their entire life and never had a significant amount of weight loss ever say that they've been on a diet their whole life. Talk to any athlete, talk to a figure skater, a dancer, a gymnast, and ask them what they had to do to maintain their physique while they were training. Those are people that have been on diets their whole life. Not you, who've been thinking about diets and stressing about diets and wishing that you were thinner, but didn't actually do anything. You actually haven't been on a diet your whole life. The athletes and other people that were pressured to become thin and stay thin that actually did that, they are the ones that had to live the dieting experience. Okay, that's my sidebar. Moving on. So I had body image issues like most adolescents do, but I think it was a little bit more because I was in a sport where your body size does matter, your proportions do matter, and you do get judged on them. I'd love to tell you that as soon as I quit figure skating that my self-esteem and body image issues went away, but they didn't. Of course. I stayed competitive figure skating all the way up until the end of grade 13. Grade 13 doesn't exist anymore, but if you are my age and lived in Ontario, you probably had to do a grade 13 as well. So I guess having a grade 13 allowed me to figure skate for one extra year because I don't think I would have done it and gone to university at the same time. Anyways, upon quitting figure skating, I continued to eat like I was an athlete. And yes, I did tell you that I was dieting this whole time that I was in high school. But I was also skating 6 days a week. And each session, it wasn't like these hockey practices with my kids where it's literally just 50 minutes. I don't think I ever went to the rink for less than 3 hours. Anywhere between 3 to 6 hours. When I say 6 hours, no, it was not all ice time, but the facility that I trained at, we had our gym next door. We also had a mini gym in our basement. We had a ballet studio, and we also used that ballet studio sometimes for aerobics. So we had an all-in-one facility where for 6 hours I might spend 3 hours on the ice, 1 hour in the gym, 1 hour doing ballet, and maybe an hour with a sports psychologist. I can't remember for certain, but what I do remember is that my Saturdays were pretty much spent exclusively at the rink. Not to mention summer camp, which was pretty much like a full day of school, but you're at the rink. And I think during summer camp it was 4 or 5 hours on the ice with 1 to 3 hours of other things that we had to do as well. So all that to say, I was an active kid. And by dropping all of that activity and still eating the same, I gained 15 to 20 pounds seemingly overnight. And during my first year not skating, I think I gained about 25 pounds. And when I started second year of university, I not only signed up for my courses, but I also signed up for Weight Watchers. This will mark the period of time where Lydia did a combination of smart and very, very stupid things, all in the name of weight loss. Now, as a figure skater that had been on a diet for most of her life, I already knew how to count calories. I already understood energy in, energy out. That was the basics. And you know what? If I could have just kept that knowledge, I probably would have been fine. But at this time, the internet was just starting to blossom with information. Yes, I am that old. I'm talking about 1997-ish time, 1997, 1998. When I started to go through the internet and look for other ways to lose weight. Now, like I said, I did join Weight Watchers, and that was a smart choice. The only difference that Weight Watchers introduced to me was the notion of fiber lowering the calorie value. Because the point system, it's based on calories, fat, and fiber. So the more fat that's in it kind of increases the points, and the more fiber that's in it decreases the points, but the calories themselves still matter. So I was counting calories before, and then when I switched to Weight Watchers by counting points, the only difference food-wise that I found is that I might be able to eat slightly more calorically as long as the calories were high in fiber. But in essence, it was pretty much the same as trying to maintain a diet of, let's say, 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day, but I'm just doing it with points instead. Yes, some of the options that they gave me did allow me to eat slightly more, but calorically, no, it's the same. I mean, I remember seeing like, oh, the Weight Watchers 0 point soup. Well, you know what? Those are made with vegetables like celery and cabbage that don't have very many calories anyways. So who gives a shit if it's a 0 point soup? The soup itself doesn't have very many calories anyways. So it's not that Weight Watchers invented some brand new thing. It still is calories in, calories out. It still is. It's just doing it in a slightly different way, making you choose foods that have higher fiber content so that you feel fuller. But it always comes back down to calories. And that'll be the message for every single program that I've tried. It always comes back to calories in, calories out. It just does. So, getting back to Weight Watchers. The day I joined Weight Watchers, I was 150 pounds. Now, I believe that I was about 120 to 125 pounds when I quit figure skating. So it took me about a year to put on 25 pounds, eating the diet of a competitive figure skater, let's say let's say 1,800 calories a day, 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, and I'm not skating anymore. So yeah, I'm small, I'm short, and I don't need that many calories. I think a lot of people are confused when they see like dietary guidelines and they think like, oh yeah, the average person needs 2,000 calories a day to survive. Not the average woman, and certainly not the average short woman. I would be as big as a house if I ate 2,000 calories a day. Seriously. When I'm not active at all, I probably only need like 1,400 calories. When I'm moderately active, I probably need 16 to 18. And I had to be full-blown 6 days a week skating to justify 2,000 calories. And I'm not being overly strict here. I'm just small. And a lot of women are small. And a lot of fat women are small women in fat bodies, meaning they don't need to eat as much as they do. We are really messed up with this whole what an average diet is, because that factors in men and women of all different heights. And I've seen so many women that are my size or shorter think that 2,000 calories a day is what they need, and they're not active. As someone who was running like 10 kilometers almost every single day, I didn't come close to 2,000 calories a day. If I ate 2,000 calories a day and ran a 10K, it still is too much. All right, getting back to the point. So on Weight Watchers, I started at 150 pounds, and I used their point program, and I easily got myself down to 135 pounds. And I believe that number 135 is very important, because even though I'm not quite a believer in set point, I believe in set point range. If I had to say that my body had a set point, I think it's 135. It's usually the place where I plateau at before I can push to lose more. I can. I mean, my body can go below 135. I've been below 135 many times. But I often find that if I'm above it, I can easily lose weight to get there, and then I hang out there for a little while before I'm able to push farther down. So, I don't know, maybe my body is trying to tell me something that 135 is where I'm supposed to be, but I typically know that that's my plateau level, and then I push past it. So with Weight Watchers, I was plateauing somewhere between 130 to 135 when I finally left it and just said, you know what, this is just going to be the weight that I maintain. And you know what? I did for quite a few years. Weight Watchers does offer you the chance to be like an alumni, and you can go forever for free as long as you keep your weight within a certain range. And you know what I did? I probably could be still Weight Watchers alumni. Yes, since then I have gone farther up, but I've always managed to bring myself back down and always been able to kind of maintain that healthy-ish range. Yes, I yo-yo, but I don't yo-yo into obesity. I always yo-yo within that healthy weight range. I'm 5'4", and I believe that like my weight range is anywhere between like 110 to 145, I think, or 141, something like that, to be in the healthy BMI. And that is where I oscillate. Actually, my range is closer to, I would say, 120 to 145 is normally where I am, but there have been times where I have fallen under 120, and there have been times where I have gone over 145, but that's not really normal. It's usually the 120 to 145 is where I bounce up and down. So after I quit Weight Watchers, I maintained my weight for a little bit, and then I probably went up 10 pounds. Let's say I went from, I don't even think it was 10. Well, let's just say for fun it was 10. Let's say I went from 130 to 140 after leaving Weight Watchers by not really sticking to the points and not following it. I don't blame programs. Programs work if you follow them. I didn't follow Weight Watchers after some time, and I just allowed myself to eat a little bit more freely. Hell, I was in my 20s. I was going out with my friends and partying on the weekends. Of course, there was some junk food in the mix. So I ended up putting on 10 pounds. But this time, when I went to lose it, I thought, no, I don't want to do Weight Watchers again. People are talking about this keto thing where you can like eat as much as you want as long as it's not a carb. I want to try that. So I looked up how to do keto, and sorry, I shouldn't be calling it keto. I'm calling it keto now, but at the time it was Atkins. I mean, the actual founder of the high protein diet. And I went to my parents' house, and I told you, my mom was always obsessed with dieting, so of course there were tons of dieting books on their bookshelf. And I found a really, really old Dr. Atkins book. And I looked up how to follow it. It was all about counting your grams of protein and counting your grams of carbs. So you need to make sure you had enough protein and not have too many carbs each day. And you know what? I did this and it worked. But let's revisit again. Why did it work? When you eat high protein foods, they are more satiating than carbs. And by eating more high protein foods, I was fuller, easier, not hungry, and didn't want to eat more. Plus, the high protein foods, they're not exactly worthy foods, are they? Like, I don't know. I mean, I like a steak, but I can't steak. Like, the types of foods that you can eat so-called unlimited quantities of are not things that you are going to want to. At least I wouldn't want to eat high quantities of. I can have as many eggs as I want. Is that appealing? So Atkins or keto works by changing the types of foods that you eat. But ultimately, what it means is that you choose foods that are more satiating, and calorically, by the end of the day, you still did not eat more calories than you needed to because of the type of foods that you ate. It always comes back down to calories in versus calories out. Like Atkins, keto, it's not a silver bullet. I mean, if you really wanted to eat 3 turkeys a day, you would gain weight. It's not that kind of magic. But the way that Atkins and keto go about it with having high protein foods, you just simply won't want to or won't be able to eat enough calories of that type to gain weight. And that's why people like it. So I was very successful doing Atkins, and I easily dropped 10 pounds. And I thought, oh, this is great. I don't have to count anything. I just have to make sure I have the right types of food. And it was fine. I actually didn't miss things for a while. But eventually I did. After a few months, I just started to miss carbs. I missed pasta. And then looking at pasta substitutes, still, it wasn't the same. Then I started to miss sugar. Sugar as a treat. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. We're going to go right back into calories in versus calories out. So went back into just trying to maintain my weight, monitoring my calories. But I never could come to terms with whatever I'm doing is not enough. I was always super, super jealous of other people's bodies. I'm using the word jealous because that is how I felt on the inside, but not in a way that made me mad at a person. Like, I was never upset at anyone for having the body I wanted, but I just wanted their body. I was obsessed with having thin, skinny legs. Like, I always felt that I had huge thighs growing up, and I was always so jealous of people that had that. And as such, and like, this is even way before like Instagram was a thing. This is like, Facebook was barely a thing at the time. When I'm doing all this internet research, trying to find products that will help me get thin fast. I am just so thankful that like Instagram wasn't a thing back then, because God knows how many Instagram ads I would have been suckered into at that time, because my confidence was fragile. I did not think very much of myself. I really just wanted that perfect body no matter what, because I think that if I achieved that, I would finally have some success in my life. My mom would be proud of me. I would finally have the thing that everybody wants, or the most important thing in life, which was to be thin and have a great figure. I know, all this stuff is ridiculous, but I'm just telling you the thoughts of a 20-something, or this 20-something. So let's get into the stupid things I bought. I once bought an herbal wrap that promised to lose inches. It says, we don't lose weight, we lose inches. So I got this kit, and I had to measure all of my sites, my arms, my legs, my waist, all of that stuff. I had to measure everything, write it down. And then I had like, it looked like tensor bandages and this like green herbal sludge. And I'd take those bandages and like dunk them in this sludge, wrap them around my body. And then it came with a raincoat. And I had to put on this raincoat, and I had to sit, and it's supposed to sweat. I'm supposed to sweat in the raincoat with all of these herbs and stuff like that, and it's supposed to like detoxify me, and then when I take my measurements after, I'm supposed to be thinner. Now, I did this stupid process. I remember sitting in the basement wearing this yellow raincoat wrapped in bandages, like, cause I had to sit in the basement because it was drippy. I don't know why I was in the bathroom. But anyways, I just remember doing it and thinking, this is ridiculous. But I wanted it to work so badly that after I was done and I took all the measurements, I claimed that it worked. I don't think that it moved at all. I mean, you can take a measuring tape and just like, if I was measuring my arm and then just move it slightly and get a different spot, I'll get a smaller measurement. I think that's all that I did. I didn't change a bit. I believe that kit probably cost me $160. This herbal thing that promises to drop pounds. Yeah, that didn't work. I have also tried many different pills in the past. I can't even remember all of the different ones that promised weight loss, but there were lots. And I think that the most recent one that I had fallen for was a leaky gut one that said, oh, your problem is you have a leaky gut, and that's why you're gaining weight. And so I was drinking some like lemonade sort of powder. I don't know. These were all stupid, okay? I'm just telling you the things that I did. I remember doing there was a lemonade one. There was the wraps. There were certain pills. Oh, there were creams. There's the reduce your tummy creams. And like, I don't know how that's supposed to do. How that's supposed to work. You rub a cream on and like what the fat is supposed to like melt out. I don't know. It was stupid. Okay, I was desperate. I wanted to do anything. I used to waste so many evenings doing Google searches for weight loss products. I also used to sometimes just go to Walmart or the Shoppers Drug Mart and look at their dietitian or their diet supplements, their diet supplements area, and see, okay, have I tried this pill? Have I tried this one? And then, oh my God, what was the one that Anna Nicole Smith was on? I tried to get that one as well. I was, I was obsessed with whatever pills and potions were available. And I tried almost all of them. And yeah, none of them worked. I kind of convinced myself that some of them worked, but they didn't. So this is most of the stuff that I did in my 20s before having children. I was still obsessed with my body. I was never really fat during this time also. This is just a girl that's just like always obsessed with losing 5 to 10 pounds. I don't know if you're one of them or if you knew one in your life that was always about the same size but always wanted to lose 5 to 10 pounds. That was me. That was me in my 20s. I was never super big, but I was always like, just 5 pounds, just 10 pounds, just 5 pounds, just 10 pounds. And I would get there, I'd lose it, I'd maintain it for a bit, then it will trickle back, and then you would hear me in 6 months saying, I just need to lose 5 pounds. I just need to lose 5 pounds. Yeah, I was that girl. I was that I just need to lose 5 pounds girl. I'm sorry if you were a friend to one of us, because I know we were really, really annoying, that we always just needed to lose 5 pounds. I'm sorry. I know. In my 30s, things were different. Well, that looks like a good place to stop for now. Please make sure that you catch the next installment in this, where we talk about life after children. What did I do to lose weight in my 30s? What happened during COVID? What happened when I broke a limb? All those weight adventures are still to come. So until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.